I worked a long time developing this. It's the evolution of Selmer.
Welcome to the Sax Stable Los Angeles. This is the brand new Selmer Signature Limited Edition New York City alto and tenor saxophones. This is the Selmer Lovers Selmer. As far as playability, aesthetics, and Selmer brand heritage goes, this truly is the Selmer Lovers Selmer. In this video, we are going to do a deep dive into this brand new saxophone release. We're going to talk about exactly what this saxophone is. We're going to hear some play demo clips. We're going to talk about the Selmer Supreme versus the Signature. Make sure to stay till the very end of the video. We are going to hear in great depth directly from Ryan Lillywhite, the product developer of this horn who brainchilded the entire thing. So welcome in, we are the Sax Stable Los Angeles. We're a small independent boutique sax shop specializing in new, used, and vintage saxophones. This is our brand new channel and this is our third video ever. If you enjoy saxophone type content and decide you like the video, please help us launch this video into the algorithm, doing all the things they say. Subscribe, like, thumbs up, comment, anything you can do to help would be awesome. Before we go any further, this video is available in 4K. YouTube typically defaults into a lower quality 1080, so make sure to press the gear button and adjust into the 4K. Okay, on with the saxophone talk. This is a brand new saxophone offering from Selmer, officially being released and launched as of today in February 2026. This horn is a highly scarce limited edition offering with a total production of just 86 tenors and 119 altos. Think about it however you want, but that's about 200 total horns, and that's essentially 3 or 4 horns total for each of the 52 US states, or a small handful of saxophones for each of the Selmer authorized dealers. Right off the bat, I'm ecstatic to report that this saxophone is priced lower and more affordable than the current production stock Selmer Supreme. Let's jump back a bit. Way back when, Selmer originally released the Supreme with great fanfare announcement and a huge marketing campaign. Everybody heard of the Supreme, everybody knew what was going on, it was a very strong push. Then, some 1 or 2 years later, out of nowhere, with no big announcement, the Signature was released. This horn's marketing campaign was very little. There was no great fanfare, there was no strong push. This second professional horn release sort of confused the sax world. Being the Supreme was the latest and greatest best saxophone ever made, and there was such little fanfare on this Signature, the general public sort of assumed the Signature was not as good, maybe the run, and it just didn't really excel. Since the very start, the Signature has been grossly misunderstood and it's just wrongly categorized. While there is a small group of fanatics that love the Signature, in general, it's just been sort of pushed under the rug. The Supreme is a brand new flavor or variant of Selmer. The Supreme is a brand new design that tends to lean very modern or open feeling. The Supreme is its own lane, its own saxophone, that while it's made by Selmer, it's a totally new tonal variety, form, function, feel than the classic Selmer. While the Supreme is an amazing modern marvel of a saxophone, it's just a totally different thing than that classic Selmer sound, that classic Selmer tone, feel, vibe that we all love. The Signature is exactly that. The Signature is that classic Selmer sound, feel, tone, and playability. The Signature is the Selmer Lovers Selmer. Everyone always talks about that Selmer sound, that Selmer feel. The Signature is that. While there are many makes, models, variants of Selmer that have been produced over the years, with each one having their own core identity, one thing to be said is when you zoom out, each one of those models is still Selmer Paris. Selmer Paris feel, Selmer Paris core. While a vintage super balanced action is a very different beast than a super action 80, ultimately, we're talking about close relatives or cousins. Balanced action, super balanced action, Mark VI, Mark VII, super action 80, series 1, 2, 3, all of these in the end are Selmer DNA. Yet the Supreme takes a total lateral step into a different lane than any of these classic Selmer feels. The Supreme is extremely free-blowing and open-feeling. The Signature is a bit more resistant with this slight added back pressure. It's this added back pressure that is the Selmer feel, sound, and secret. While the Supreme often tricks many players by giving them a feeling of instant gratification with its open feel, it's the signature's added back pressure that allows you to blow against it, have something to push against, which really allows you to shape and mold your tone. It's that feeling that is the Selmer feel and tone. A Selmer Paris is not supposed to sound like a King Super 20 or, say, a P. Marriott or an Eastman. A Selmer Paris saxophone's core identities are a very dynamic, agile, nimble, and hyper expressive tone that fits you like a glove. You can blow oh so gently and make it wispy, or you can push hard and get a crispy, cutting jazz, funk, or rock sound. A Selmer Paris's agility allows you to truly choose your own voice, find your own voice, and work towards developing your own unique identity as a player. Some of these other saxophones out there in the world today sound amazing and are highly gratifying to play, but in the end, longer term, all sound the same, becoming very one note, boring, mundane, like a guitar amp stuck at the loudest setting or a Ferrari sports car that is only able to drive fast. For the last however many years now, it's just been Supreme, Supreme, Supreme chatter for all over. There's no putting down the Supreme, it's one of the best modern saxophones in production. It's just that the signature truly is the Selmer lover's Selmer. Now, when I say it's the Selmer lover's Selmer, one huge food group is the playability, resembling what we know and love from a Selmer, which I've just rambled on about, but besides the playability, offering the closest true pure Selmer playing experience, this limited edition USA variant steps into the shoes to reclaim its identity as the USA Selmer lover Selmer with stunning looks and aesthetics. Just a quick reminder, stay put till the tail end of this video. We are going to hear extensively from Ryan Lillywhite, the product developer of this horn. He's got some great things to say. The huge headline of this specific limited variant boils down to a Selmer signature with a brand new Elkhart dark nitrocellulose lacquer with extensive sprawling engraving. We're going to come back to this lacquer. There are a slurry of other interesting quirks and features. This saxophone comes with a Mark VI style wood end plug instead of the standard plastic or metal cap. This horn has brand new French style pads that are different from what's being used on the rest of the Selmer horn. This saxophone has brand new vintage style Tonex nickel plated dome resonators with the reusable screw backs. These are just like the original Mark VI resonators, which is a very cool addition. The bell to body brace is different on this horn from the rest of the modern Selmer Paris saxophones. It looks a lot closer to a O-ring on the Mark VI's. Typically, these saxophones come with a Selmer concept mouthpiece, which is a classical mouthpiece. This horn comes with a Selmer soloist mouthpiece, which is a great jazz mouthpiece. The horns come with numbered certificate of authenticities. The horns itself have no individual numbers on the saxophone. However, they are individually numbered on their certificate. We are actually looking at alto saxophone number 1 and tenor saxophone number 2. They each come with their own custom case, microfiber cloth, swab that have a matching pattern from the engraving. The necks are now individually serialized, which is a nice addition, but they don't actually match the body serial number in any way. All of these features are really cool, but it's this Elkhart dark lacquer that is truly the massive upgrade that's happening here. During the golden era of vintage Selmer Mark VI production, the saxophones were either produced, assembled, lacquered in Paris, or they were sent in pieces and assembled, engraved, lacquered, finalized in the USA at the Selmer Elkhart factory in Indiana. To this day, the most beautiful, elusive, collectible, sought-after Selmers are the USA Elkhart lacquered engraved Selmers from the 1950s that feature the beautiful, dark, burnt, honey-like amber gold that is just so beautiful on the eyes. This Selmer Elkhart factory lacquer was a nitrocellulose lacquer that was sprayed in layers, giving its look depth, complexities, and a very comforting, natural, organic warmth. Over time, this lacquer naturally darkens, becoming even more beautifully aged. Many saxophone producers have tried to emulate this look and color over the years. While there are many beautiful dark lacquered saxophones, it's just not the same as the actual vintage Selmers. The Elkhart Selmer team, led by Ryan Lillywhite, has worked over the last few years to reproduce this original Selmer lacquer as close as they can, and it looks absolutely jaw-droppingly beautiful. It's very hard to video this lacquer. Keep in mind that it's so dark, how it looks in the eyes is different from how the camera picks it up. The current Selmer Signature and Supreme lacquer is much more of a yellow gold type hue. This yellow gold is gorgeous and puts out a bright sheen. However, the Elkhart dark is just jaw-droppingly knockout beautiful. We've got a bunch of comparisons here with mint condition Mark VIs. This is the full lineup here, left to right, super balanced action, Mark VI, Series 3, Signature Limited, Signature Regular, super balanced action Alto, Mark VI Alto, Series 2 Alto, Signature Limited, and Signature Regular. When comparing this new Elkhart dark hue to the vintage Selmer lacquer, try to keep in mind that at this point, these Selmers are now 70-75 years old. While some Closet Queen horns have a brighter, shiny, reflective type lacquer finish, the majority of these horn finishes have faded to a more matte, less shiny look. This Elkhart dark finish is what a Mark VI would look like on day one if it was factory fresh, polished, bright, popping, shiny. The exact hue of this lacquer was based on a Selmer Mark VI tenor serial number 85882 that we had here housed at the Sax stable for an extremely long time. I know it's possible you're saying to yourself, all this hubbub just about a dark lacquer finish? But let me just tell you, it's not just that simple. This Elkhart dark lacquer finish is a thing of beauty. This did not need to exist. No one actually needed to spend extra time, extra money, extra energy going through this process to recreate this nitrocellulose lacquer. But they did, and it's here now for us to enjoy. This saxophone truly is the Selmer lover's Selmer. Past the lacquer, the engraving is extensive and detailed with many nods to vintage Selmer history. This horn brings back the iconic Selmer portrait engraving oftentimes seen in balanced action horns. The portrait features a New York City motif, which is a throwback to the original Selmer New York shop where the original Selmer USAs were imported to. The horn features engraving of the classic double S neck, the SC for Selmer Company. The horn has the classic Selmer butterflies in multiple places. There is an Art Deco sunburst-like engraving. There is Lady Selmer, which is a fantastic touch. Some might think, okay, so we have a saxophone that already existed repackaged with new lacquer and engraving. And on the surface, yes, that is true, but this is so much more than that. This is bringing back that heritage of Selmer that existed for so long. This is now the revamp of that legacy style of dual finish product that existed for so long in Selmer history, offering a European saxophone as well as a unique USA counterpart, but in modern day setting. This horn is the full package. Through and through, this horn is the Selmer lover's Selmer. Availability on these saxophones will be scarce. For the initial launch of these saxophones, there are only a few available units at select Selmer launch partner authorized dealers. We're talking single-digit horns here, not many at all. There will never be some large drop of these saxophones. It will be more of a controlled trickle. The 86 tenors and 119 altos will filter in small batches throughout 2026. Aside from these initial launch horns, the first batch is slated to export from Paris sometime in March and will hopefully arrive in the USA in April, perhaps May. It's a very lengthy process of these horns having to be imported to the USA, deboarded from their container carts, eventually loaded on a truck or train to make it to Elkhart just for them to start the unpackaging process. After this initial April-May drop, there will then be small releases of these throughout the rest of the year as they filter into the country. Selmer is encouraging the dealers that have access to these horns to sell them as pre-orders, and it seems like that's how most of these will be sold. These are the type of horns that are purchased as gifts, as presents that people buy for their collections. They aren't typically bought and sold very quickly after. Usually they're lifetime horns that don't come to market until someone passes away. Here at the Sax Stable, we have been guaranteed a fairly large allocation as part of the early drop. We have the saxophones in this video for sale today. However, our pre-orders are guaranteed to be early in this April initial drop. These saxophones will sell for a bit cheaper than the current Supremes, which is fantastic. The altos are $89.99, the tenors are $10,799. With combined total of only 205 saxophones, there are only so many of these to go around. I doubt this will be any kind of instant sellout tickle me Elmo type situation, but when you consider how cool these are and how special they are, it's pretty much a no-brainer. If you're interested in securing a unit, please make sure to reach out to us at saxstable@gmail.com or www.saxstable.com. Okay, let's get into a couple of play demos. We were just at the NAMM show. We were able to capture a quick clip of Brandon Fields shredding on the tenor. Now let's check Chris Sullivan checking out the alto recorded on an iPhone mic. Wow, Chris sounds incredible even with the iPhone mic. Now let's hear from Ryan Lillywhite. He gave us a great fireside NAMM chat and walked us through this entire saxophone.
Here we are at NAMM 2026. I'm Ryan Lillywhite, Senior Director of Product Development at Selmer, and self-professed saxophone nerd, right? So I've been working with Selmer Paris on this model for a long time. Very excited to show it today to the world. A little bit of a background, right? So this is based on the Signature series of Selmer Paris. What is the Signature series? It's the newest iteration, the latest and greatest of the line, the genealogy of the historic Selmer models. So we're talking like the original Selmer Paris model. They had one model forever, and it went from the 1922 to the 28. There was the Super Action, the Super Balanced Action, the Mark VI. Then it became the Super 80. The Signature is the current evolution of that line, the most perfected version. It is even, it is better in tune than anything's been. It has that signature Selmer sound in it. In comparison, what is the Supreme line? The Supreme is a new reinvention of the saxophone. It is a new take on the modern saxophone that Selmer Paris developed for over a decade, starting from scratch. And so it's two different lines, right? You've got the Supreme and the Signature. Both are top-level Selmer Paris instruments that have that Selmer Paris signature core sound, but it's a different approach. So for someone who has been playing a Mark VI or an SBA, this Signature is going to feel a lot more similar. It has that traditional Selmer take, right? Now, the Signature USA concept came from me wanting something that was unique to the US. Selmer Paris has been fantastic to work with in developing this, and a lot of unique things about it that refer back to our partnership over the years. You know, we're cousins, Selmer USA, Selmer Paris. We've been the exclusive distributor for Selmer Paris since the beginning. In the early 1900s, Alexander Selmer, who is Henri Selmer's brother, came over to the US. He was a famous clarinetist and was performing, and he started distributing his brother Henri's clarinets that were making waves. Everyone loved them. So he started distributing Selmer Paris instruments in the US. And he started in New York, right? He was originally on 86th Street in New York and eventually outgrew that, and he built a shop on 119 46th Street in New York. That was the bigger Selmer USA shop, right? This was the beginnings of the Selmer USA story, distributing Selmer Paris instruments. Stay with me. I know this is getting historical, it's getting long, right? But then in 1927, they moved to Elkhart. That's where I'm from, that's where Elkhart is where Selmer USA is based and has been for a long time. And for 54 years, in Elkhart at the Selmer factory, we were assembling, engraving, lacquering Selmer Paris saxophones. So Selmer Paris would make the parts and send them over to Elkhart, and in Elkhart we would put them together. So this saxophone has a lot of nods, a lot of homage paid to that Elkhart era. Starting with, as you can see, this is the nitrocellulose based Elkhart dark lacquer. It's the original shade. Of course, I mean, if you really get into the saxophones, it changed over the years. It got lighter into the 60s. This is the late 40s, early 50s, late SBA, early Mark VI, Selmer Elkhart lacquer. This is the Elkhart dark. And it's a nitrocellulose based lacquer. Something that you'll notice very strikingly is the engraving. It's super elaborate engraving all over the bell, all over the bow, all the way up the body, and there's Easter eggs all over in this. So one of the early themes of early Selmer engraved instruments was a butterfly theme. You'll see those a lot in like collector's edition, early Selmer. And I mean, basically you'll see, like here's a butterfly kind of hidden in here. The Lady Selmer, this was the stamp that we put on all of the Selmers back in the day. There's another butterfly you can see in there. So this is some of the bigger motifs in the engraving. You'll see the sunburst. This is an Art Deco sunburst theme. There were a very few sunburst engraved Selmers early on. I think they were in the balanced action like 1930s era. And then the portrait, right? The portrait is something that is one of the greatest. Some beautiful old balanced action Selmers have this portrait scene a lot of times, and the inside of the portrait would change, right? You'll get a lake scene with a boat and some mountains in the background is a common one. This one has a 1930s New York City skyline. You can see the Empire State Building. It's a night sky with some stars in it, and all framed in an Art Deco, like a neo-deco take. You can see, again, the sunburst. You can see the rays coming all the way up through and down through the engraving. Really ties in, and a lot going on. I mean, it's a work of art that you can just spend a long time looking at. So it's engraved, again, all the way up the body. I'm seeing some more butterfly in there, just a lot of Easter eggs. You'll also see the very first year of the Mark VI, instead of the S on the neck, they had what's called the double S logo, which is actually an SC for Selmer Company. And that's in the engraving as well. So some really nice aesthetic looks to it. Another unique thing you'll notice here is the ring brace, right? This was pulled like in the Selmer reference horns, which you might see a few different things from the reference horns in this. Had this ring brace, which kind of harkens back to that SBA Mark VI era. And another thing that might be hard to pick up on the video, but the pads themselves, these are French-made pads, and they have Tonex style resonators. The Tonex resonators were what we used in the 1940s, 1950s Selmers. It's a metal resonator that's reusable. Instead of being riveted on, the back of it that goes into the pad is actually screwed on. So when you put new pads down the line, when this gets played a lot and you need to repad it, you can reuse these resonators. So it's a domed solid nickel resonator with a brushed machine finish on it. Again, just another nod to the past. Some other unique things about this, it has the signature style neck receiver, right? So this is, it comes apart. This neck clamp, this is a nickel silver clamping ring that goes around the outside, and there's 3 different slits on the inside on the actual saxophone body. So what that does is instead of just one point that opens and closes, it's 3 different points that close concentrically. So it's a nice even pressure all the way around and prevents the neck receiver itself from going out of round and creating any leaks that might happen. So this keeps that seal, which is such an important part of the saxophone, that joint of the neck that you're taking on and off. Between the tenon and the body, it keeps that seal concentric. It keeps it mechanically solid so that it transmits your sound without any loss of airflow or anything. The neck itself has one of a newer thing that Selmer has done is there's a serialized number on each neck. So each neck has a serial number on it. Now that's to track each neck. It's not matched up to the horn. It's not the same number as the horn, but it is a unique serial number on every one of these necks. And then on the front, you'll see that it says it's made in France. Of course, this is made soup to nuts in Paris. This is a Selmer Paris made to our specs, right? So to talk a little bit about the uniqueness of this saxophone and how special it is, Selmer was nice enough to give us an exclusive model. You know, I worked a long time developing this, and this is only available through Selmer authorized dealers. So if you want to buy one of these, it's in the United States, maybe up into Canada too. And it's very limited numbers as well. This 86 tenors and 119 altos, which seem like odd numbers, but then when you dig back into the history, it's because it's a nod to the New York era of Selmer USA, right? The very first shop that Alexander Selmer set up was on 86th Street. There's 86 tenors. And then he moved to 119 46th Street. There's 119 altos in this limited edition. And coincidentally, when they moved the shop to Elkhart, it went from 119 46th Street in New York to 1119 Main Street in Elkhart, which it's just kind of a cool thought. That happened again 1927, so next year will be the 100th anniversary of Elkhart Selmer in Elkhart. So the alto the engraving is similar, but it has different unique things to it. It has some different motifs on it. It shares the same Elkhart dark lacquer. It shares the same ring style bell-to-body brace. It has the same Tonex style resonators on French-made pads. And it has, again, this is based on the signature, the Selmer Signature series. So it has all of that heritage from, again, that went up through the SBA, the Mark VI. It carries on that Selmer heritage up to today. Is the latest and greatest version of that, making really the culmination of the Selmer heritage.
Wow, those were beautiful words from Ryan Lillywhite. That is the hardest working man in the saxophone production world. To end our video, we're now going to hear from Bob Reynolds while he was checking out the saxophone. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching and the support. This is just our third video ever, and the productions will get better from here. Please help us launch this video into algorithm by doing all the things they say help. Subscribe, like, thumbs up, comment on the video. We can be contacted at saxstable@gmail.com or www.saxstable.com at any time. Now, let's hear from Bob.